Okay, hopefully somebody can hear me. This is another argument for moving to YouTube and not having to deal with all of this frustration. So hopefully somebody can hear me. I don't even know if you, let me see. Oh, you can hear me. Huzzah! All right, somebody can hear me. All right, let me set the do not disturb on my phone so no one calls. Okay, somebody can hear me. Somebody can hear me. Oh, all right. Well, thank goodness we have the phone. Poor Instagram, they miss out today. But we'll download the video and then we'll post it there later. And here I was, like, saying before everyone, got here that, we were supposed to be having the end of Mercury retrograde, that post window should have been over by now. Things should have been calming down. Things should have been, the technical glitches should be over. And then, I don't even know. I don't even know what happened. So I'm actually going to restart my computer while we're doing this, because that way, whatever is going on, it can be done by later. So, oy vey. All right, so we know there is a lot, especially the last couple of days. It's a lot. And the place I want to start with is self-care. And I'm going to talk about this a lot tomorrow on my podcast at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And all the graphics created by the fabulous Chris Judd are on the page, so you can see the graphics and you'll know how to find me on Psychic Radio and Ask One Radio. I do not know why my graphic for if you go on the website to the schedule, why my graphic is still not there. But if you're looking for the podcasts and you're not finding them on the Facebook platform, you can find them everywhere else, but you can find on Ask One Radio in the archives. And I am working on getting the graphic. I don't understand what the holdup is. So that's where we are with that. So there is a lot that happened in the last few days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It has been an unbelievably emotional and tumultuous weekend, with the start of Hanukkah and the shooting at Brown University. And now it has come out that the shooter at Brown may have been targeting a Jewish professor there, and also that person has been released because they didn't have enough information or evidence to hold them. And then we have the catastrophe, the absolute tragedy in Sydney, Australia, and then of course the absolutely shocking murder of Rob Reiner and his wife by what appears to be their son. So there is a lot to process, and it's Hanukkah, so I want to say happy Hanukkah to anyone who is participating in Hanukkah. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Now, I do also want to say that if you have friends who are Jewish, this is the time to reach out to them, because people in the Jewish communities worldwide are reeling. The attacks on Jewish communities around the world have been increasing, more violent, and ever. Thank you, darling. Chag Sameach. Chag Hanukkah. Hag Hanukkah. And so it's a lot. And so if you have Jewish people around you, it is important to reach out to them. Okay. People are just, reeling, and on the heels of, not on the heels, but, after the last, 2 years with October 7th, and to see this kind of thing that is increasing, and to see the response from our current government to any and all of these things is disheartening, to say the least. So, but there are some things that are important to understand. And one of them is about the bounce. We have to go down before we can go up. And there's a lot of places right now where our communities, our society, our humanity is going down. And then there is a bounce. And when I was at the Spirit Fest in, where the heck was I? In Kissimmee, a month or so ago, which is the psychic fair, simply put, I met this woman named Wendy who is teaches about living in the moon cycles. Now, you've seen me post things from Yasmin Boland, who's in Australia, and she teaches about moonology, and her teachings are really amazing. And we have her. I have a deck of her moonology cards that are here that we use sometimes. And so Yasmin is a wonderful person, and also very interesting in what she teaches. But I was reading this book, Living the Moon Cycles, that was given to me by my new friend Wendy. And Wendy Reitz, R-E-I-T-Z, because I know Chris Judd is going to ask me that. And this little book, it was really about her journey and how she came to creating her product that she has. But what's really interesting is that she talks about the cycles of the moon. And I just found this so fascinating with things that are going on. Now, if you followed me for any kind of time, you've probably heard me talk about how humanity is evolving through the chakras, and how where we are right now is right in the throat chakra, that we are in this time of kind of making our voices heard and screaming from the rooftops. And, you know, all the things that I receive in channeled information comes through as purging. That there's a purging. Now, it is not to say that Rob Reiner and his wife deserved to be purged. They did not. I mean, in Judaism we have a word called mensch, which is just a good guy. And Rob Reiner and his father and everyone in his, circle that you might associate, Mel Brooks and Dick Van Dyke, and, they just really menschy people, and really amazing, philanthropic, caring human beings. But what I am saying is that we're in this time of purging things from our society, and purging things from our body, purging things from all of the places. And Louise Hay used to say that you have to be willing to see the dirt before you can clean it. And so, I have 4 pets, and I Swiffer in my house every Tuesday is my Swiffer morning. And I, go around, and I love my Swiffer, and I go around, and we have white piles, which I hate. But so it shows, and black dogs. So, do the math. And so I am constantly, on Tuesdays Swiffering, and one of the dogs had accidentally moved the rug that's at the front door. It's Florida, it rains a lot, so there's a rug at the front door. And I was stunned by how much dirt was under the rug. And I thought, oh my gosh. And our inclination, if you've ever vacuumed or anything, and you get that piece that you can't pick it up, or it's not sweeping, and you kind of pick it up and look at it, and then you toss it back down and hope the vacuum's going to get it. And so, there's a big laugh, because we look at the dirt and then we just kind of move on. I said, no, we have to be willing to look at the dirt in order to clean it. And so, of course, Swift plus Swift, and, all that. But I feel like that's where we are right now. And there's so much. And definitely in the last several years, we have seen that it feels like, we have seen that at the end of the year, 2024, 2023, and maybe even into 2022, I don't honestly remember, that there was a shocking number of departures of people who left the planet, just shocking people, famous people, or events that all happened at the end of the year, where people had died to us very unexpectedly. And we're, here going, what is going on? It's the end of the year. How many, we've got to get out of this year, because, how much more can happen, before the end of this year. And I think that that's part of it, is it puts us in the position energetically to say we need to move on. It is time for us to move to the next place. But it was interesting that I was reading in this Living the Moon Cycles book about the cycles of the moon. And we are right now really in this place of a purge, right? So we are in the moon cycle right now. We're in the waning. So we're in the last quarter of the moon. And so this is, it was interesting because in the first quarter of the moon, so we have the new moon, then we have the first quarter, then we have, that full moon, and then we have, which really is a half because we're seeing it this way. We have the third quarter, and then we have back to the new moon. And so we have always talked about the setting our intentions for the new moon, right? So as we're coming into the new year, we've talked about setting our intentions for the new year as well. And so in the moon cycles, we have, setting our intentions, what is our inspired next steps, right? And so that's where we are looking to be as we're considering how we want to launch this new year, which is a 1 year, whereas where we are right now is a 9 year, which is things that are being completed and chapters that are closing. But as we get to the second quarter of the moon, we start opening up to a new narrative within our lives. And here's what I thought was interesting, was during that third week and the fourth week, it was, in the third week, it was about co-creating changes in our behavioral patterns. And then in the fourth week, which is where we are right now, literally in this moon cycle, but also here we are at the very end of the year, in the fourth part of if you took the moon as the year, that we are opening up to this new perspective on ourself, others, and the world. And I really came back to that because I thought, well, we really are doing that. We're opening up to a new perspective of ourselves, of others, and the world. Now, whether that's good or bad, I can't say. But we are definitely in this time of purging and of expelling things and seeing the dirt, and then being able to decide how we want to deal with that as we go forward. So if, like me, in the last 72 hours, your emotions have been, all over the place, and especially for those who may be Jewish, this is hard. And it is normal for us to have our emotions all over the place. And I, always try to be very transparent with everyone. And so even you can see it, on my 2 Facebook pages. Here I try to, post things. Hey, nobody needs to hear from you too. Dogs. So here I try to post things that are filled with light and support and love. And you can literally watch on my personal Facebook page as I'm working things out and trying to find my footing as any other human with these tragedies and the governmental activities and political things and things going on in other countries, and as to try and re-find my footing when I, as human as the next person, look at the news or look at something like this and say, what the F? And then to be able to say, okay, where can I bring myself back to grounded and bring myself back into a place of light? And so I turn to friends, I turn to others, I turn to things I can read. Podcasts for sure. I've been having things in my ears, almost nonstop, trying to find myself in the wake of such tragedies. Because when we're dealing with such hatred and such anger, it is very easy to have that be our reaction, to be angry and to be frustrated and to be, that person is clearly evil because they did X, Y, and Z. And there is something to be said for that. And there are those who believe that there are humans walking among us that have lost connection with their soul, and they are just, I don't really believe in zombies, but there is something that is zombie-esque when you have really lost the connection to the fact that you are a divine creature of love and light, and that you are here as part of a higher frequency. And there are a lot of people who have lost connection with their soul. And to me, I feel like there's something in that of where we see these kind of actions. And at the same time, how sad is that? And then there is another philosophy that says in soul families, and that this is something that maybe more has relevance in the Reiner family situation, that we incarnate together to lift and support each other on our paths and on our educations and experiences. And so there's something to be said that Carl Reiner and his family had chosen to incarnate, knowing that their son was going to have this difficult path, and that they chose to be here to hold that space for him. Now, does anybody know that it would end in such tragedy? No, probably not. But it's there is a balance somewhere in there where we have chosen to incarnate at this time to be part of seeing the dirt, to be part of expelling the things, to shine such a light on evil and negativity and hatred and racism and inequity, because it is only, we only see it when it becomes so glaringly obvious. When it's not, we can, it's very easy for us to turn our backs and say, oh, well, that doesn't affect me, so I'm just, wow, that's terribly sad, and I'm going to move on back with my life, which is fine, but that's not cleaning the dirt. That's not being willing to see the dirt. And so it's a choice. It's not a mandate, but these things happen in our societies, and you can see the parabola of society, being compassionate and connected to each other, where the world comes together because there's some kind of an atrocity, and then how we kind of fragment again. And we saw that during the pandemic, in the early days of the pandemic, how everyone came together and how people were helping neighbors and how people were trying to connect with each other and how communities were distancing but singing and sharing, groceries or going to the store for people or whatever, how we were coming together. And then again, we sort of filtered back in and moved back into our own little cogs and our own little spaces afterwards. So we almost got it, but we didn't quite get it. And so we have now a parabola where we went up and now we come back down again. And so humanity is learning. Humanity is learning a very hard lessons right now. And if you have children or you've been around children and you've ever watched toddlers learning to walk, they walk, they fall down, they cry, they may get hurt. My older one, who's 28 and tough as nails, or about to be 28. When we were living in California, he actually took a tumble down some concrete stairs, and he was probably 8 steps up, and you kind of could see him go like a pinwheel, like that. And I mean, as a new mom, I just lost my mind, and he, got to the bottom and looked a little shook. And I looked at him, and I wasn't really sure, because, if you look at the toddler that's fallen down and go, oh, they go, oh, and now we're all crying. But if you look at the toddler and you go, oh, kaboom, then they often will bounce up back, unless they were seriously hurt. And then after the toddler is down for a nap, then you go in the other room and go, oh my God, what have I done? I'm a terror, and you have your emotional, moment, because parents get no sleep when they have toddlers. So he fell down these stairs as he was learning to climb stairs, and I was right behind him. I looked away for a minute, and then down he was going the stairs, and he was fine. He was fine, because we looked at him, and I said, what happened? And he said, I fall. I'll never forget it. Go, I fall. Okay, but he got back up. And so sometimes when he would fall, he would flip out and have a tantrum and burst into tears because he hurt his head or he fell off his scooter or whatever it was. And other times he just got right back in there. And that's what we're seeing with humanity right now, is this huge evolution of humanity. While we are in the throat chakra, we are also in this time where humanity is in toddlerhood. That in this generation, in this evolution of humanity, we're learning some very, very hard lessons. And every time, we're not ready to be mature as a human society yet. We're not ready to evolve to a place where love is the currency. And it's interesting because if you follow any of the other folks that channel, higher beings and channel higher collective intelligences. And I enjoy that privilege at times as well. And one of the things that sometimes comes through, and I've heard it several times, is of societies that have evolved to a point where they no longer require currency, they no longer require hierarchy, it's all collaborative. And it seems so foreign to us, and it seems so far away, and sometimes it seems so utopian or impossible. That once they had abolished currency, one channel, and I think the human's name is Darren, but when he channeled, and they said that when they had abolished currency, their entire society shifted almost overnight, because now everyone had access to everything that they needed. No one took more than they needed, because what was the point? You couldn't sell it for anything. And everyone took care of each other because, there was no reason for strife or war or hoarding or anything, because there was no currency. And I come back to that thought a lot, because I think, isn't that something to aim for and something to hope for? And so we are in this really challenging, difficult time of human growth and human evolution of, while we are in that throat chakra of everybody yelling and screaming, we're also in this place of toddlers where we're going to fall down. We're going to see horrible, horrific things. When my kids were young and we were still living in Los Angeles, my girlfriend's son, birthday party, blah, blah, blah. And we went to their house for the birthday party. And afterwards, and the little boy was somewhere on the spectrum. And he loved playing with my kids. And my kids, not knowing or caring anything about spectrum, they played. And when we left after we had stayed after the birthday party, and we were hanging around, and the kids were playing. And later that day, after we had left, because my children had jumped off the bed, and it was not a high bed, just toddler beds. My children had jumped off the bed. This little boy had jumped off the bed and broke his arm. And I felt horrible, because my children had been this terrible influence on, them. And it was one bone. It wasn't, and he was, I think they were 6. He is my older son's age, so he was 6 or 5. And, kids heal very quickly in that age. But, I felt terrible. My girlfriend, was, laughing. She said, of course he was going to do it, because he saw your kids doing it, and that's what kids do, and so understanding. And all of us, first time, young parents, and, or parents of young kids. And that's where we are. And it's this kind of a thing that has really given me some comfort, and this reminder that all is not lost, because some days it can certainly feel like that, but all is not lost. And sometimes we're going to jump off the bed, and even, here's the irony, because my younger son broke his arm spectacularly about 10 years ago, broke his humerus, 2 surgeries, the whole thing. And he had broken it because he was running and jumping over something 5 or 6 times, and it was the 6th time he tripped and stumbled and landed with his arm behind his back, and he broke his bone. But he had, as he told me, and will still tell me, but I did it great up till then. So those are the things that I think that give me some hope, some help, some comfort, that all is not lost, even though it's easy to look at the news and feel like it is, that we are growing, we are learning. We are looking at the dirt in order to decide if we want to clean it or not, or if we're going to look away. And, we've done some things that have worked, and then, found out that did not work again and broke our arm. So as we go forward, I think it's important to remember that there is a bigger picture going on. We are mere mortals and puny humans. So we are, with all my love, that we're not ever going to have a full picture of what they see or what is really going on in the universe, in the global picture, because that's not our lane. And for those of us who are sitting here going, what in the hell is going on? That is really frustrating and infuriating, because many of us are doers and people who like want to try and make a difference and fix things and figure it out, and there is a helplessness. And that's part of the lesson too. That's part of the lesson too. When we go through the struggles and our own struggles, there's a saying, it's in the valleys that we grow. So those are the things that I was called to share today. So let's get into some cards and see what's going on from, higher voices. I really wanted to use the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light Oracle card, especially always to say thank you to my very dear friend and content co-creator Chris Judd, because when you all had seen my previous deck of this deck of cards was just falling to tatters, Chris took it upon herself to buy me a new deck. And so these are very nice and straight and not all broken in half. So so that makes me happy, and so I'm very grateful. So I will always say thank you to Chris for these. They're still nice and firm. So let's see what the cards want us to know about what is going on right now. So there is a lot of energy shifting. There is a lot, and I want you to be reminded. I'm asked to remind you that we're not done yet. We're not done yet, because there seems to be this thing of things happening at the end of the year. And so today is only halfway through December. So please do not be surprised when some other shoe drops seemingly on our heads over the next week or so. And just hang in there and remember that this is our humanity's opportunity to look at the dirt and decide, from the toddler perspective, are we going to get up, or are we learning, or are we not? Okay. So this is interesting because now these cards do not have numbers. Okay. These cards do not have numbers, but it's very interesting because what is it that we need to know most right now about what is going on to help us get through the week? And this is the card that says the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Now, I don't know about you all, but that really brings me comfort, that this is the Age of Light and that we've been training for this for lifetimes, which means we know how to do this. And our humans may not always know how to do this, because I know I certainly went to bed last night going, I don't know what to do, and really had to tap in with some people who helped me stay grounded. And it's very comforting to say, okay, this is the Age of Light, which means that for all of the stuff that is happening that feels like the world is falling apart, it is falling apart in order for things to fall back together. And if you've ever planted a garden, or you've ever done remodeling on your house, or you've ever done anything like that, you know that you have got to just yank it all out, churn it all up, stir it all up, rip it out, sometimes by the roots. And also in my garden, I have a blowtorch, so for weeds. So sometimes you got to burn it to the ground before you can go forward. And so if we are really in the Age of Light, which I 100%, I believe the cards, and it says we've been training for this for lifetimes. We know what we're doing. Somewhere, we who are with the light, we know that there is something else going on here, and that there is a shift that will come. Is it going to come on January 1st? Probably not, but there is a shift that is trying to make itself be known, and it's up to us to stay on that side, this side of the light, to help it come to fruition. So what else do we need to know about what's going on right now around here? And so this is the second card that says share your voice, come out of the cave, persecution and expression. Now, I know in this country there was an executive order that was signed that is trying to demonize people who do not believe or agree with the current administration. And if you are someone with a larger platform, or involved with a nonprofit, this is really an attempt to silence nonprofit organizations that are doing good work out in the world, that you may feel a little bit of a concern right now, and that is 100% justified. And we certainly don't ever want anyone to put themselves in harm's way or in danger, but this is definitely a time to share a voice if you feel that you can, and that you, even if that is in a very small circle. It says share your voice. This is come out of the cave, persecution versus expression. Okay. And so this is the time to look at the dirt and to be able to say, that's not okay. We need to clean that up. Okay. We need to make some changes. So this is sharing our voice. And when you come here, and especially those of you who really hung in there with me today through technical difficulties that I don't even know what's going on, this is, you are here to make a difference. You are here because you believe that a difference can be made. So it's important that you are talking amongst yourselves, amongst your friends, your peers, your compatriots to, make sure that you stay safe, of course, but that you're standing up for what's right, what you believe is right in a way that works for you. Okay, I'm not ever going to tell anybody how they have to stand up, but this is definitely not a time to be, turning our backs on anything. The famous poem, first they came for these folks and I said nothing because I wasn't one of those. And then they came for those folks and by the time they came for me, no one was left, right? So this is definitely a time for whatever it is that is a cause that speaks to you, that is a time to make your voice be heard. Okay, and whatever that looks like for you. This third card is, I love this, because what do we need to be aware of? What do we need to look out for? Is generally where I put my question in the third card. And it says, these are the Akashic records, the Akasha. It says your guidance is being divinely guided. So as you choose to step out, if you choose to share your voice, if you're choosing to make your presence known, that your guidance is divinely guided, that you will be protected and you will be guided, that you will be led to the right place, to the right person, to the right voice, to the right post, to the right, avenue to make a difference. And no one is being called to carry all the load in any situation. All of us are called to carry our part, which means if you remember old time fire brigades, right? They had the water bucket chains and they would fill the water from the water tower and fill the bucket and pass the bucket, and then they would throw the water on the fire and hopefully they would be able to put the fire out. So it is up to us to carry our water. It's up to us to carry our own water, to carry water for others when we can. It's very important that we are not leaving our bucket to the side, expecting someone else to pick it up. Okay, so I'm going to pull one more card because it really feels like I'm supposed to. So we're going to, their yard. I think that maybe says there I are. I'm not sure. Yar! Here you are. Don't you love autocorrect? All right, so this card is upside down, but this deck does not do upside down cards. And again, no numbers either. So this card is one more card. I felt like what I'm supposed to pull. It says take a break. A life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. Okay, so this reminds us self-care. Self-care, 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 and especially with the last few days, that is the first place that we go, and then we get back into action. Then we look at the dirt. Okay, first we take care of ourselves. So we step away from social media, we step away from the news, we make sure that we have a break for ourselves, and then here, go get them. Go get them. We're taking care of ourselves, and then we can look at how we're going to choose to go forward. So this is take a break. Remember, our life's work, it is a marathon. It is not a race. It is not a sprint. And, for whatever the struggle that you or anyone else is dealing with right now, there is this too shall pass ideology that is something that I always am holding on to. Whatever the wonderful, fabulous, marvelous, amazing things that are there, this too shall pass. It's not going to last forever. And whatever the horrible, awful, troublesome, difficult thing that you're dealing with right now. Sorry, my son just came home from the gym, so he's playing with the dogs. Whatever troublesome, difficult, challenging, horrible thing that you're dealing with, or right now, or at some other point in your life, this too shall pass. Okay, because that is life's journey. Where are we? Life's journey. It's a life's work. It is not a sprint. It is absolutely the marathon. And so we take care of ourselves, because if we don't put our mask on ourselves first, we can't put our mask on, help anybody else. All right. A lot of different things today. There's a lot going on. The energy is spiking, and it feels very spiky, and it's going to not smooth itself out. I've been talking about the post window in Mercury retrograde for, this will be the second week. I'm like, come on, we were done. We had the second week. Last week was the second week of the post window. It should have been declining, and it clearly was not. And so we're going to be in for a bumpy ride as we come into the rest of this end of the year. So hold on to the good things. Celebrate the good things. celebrate the love and the joy, and make sure, as with all things, that you are telling the people around you who are important to you that they are important to you. So, all right, let's do some cards for you all. So go ahead and pop it in the comments if you are. Now, please, oh, please only do it once, because for whatever, I got to make sure that I can see your comments and short windows here on the phone, since the computer was being persnickety. All right, Michelle, Sharon. Oh, that Michelle's got her little hand raised. I love it. Oh, yes, absolutely. Chris, I see. All right, so we're going to start with Michelle, Stephen, absolutely, and Stacy. Okay. Hello, Lorraine and Ellen. Called up for jury duty, blah. Well, I hope you get released quickly. So, all right, so let me scroll back. It's interesting, I actually can scroll back easier here. All right, so we're going to start with Michelle. Okay, so what does Michelle most need to know for her highest and best good for what's going on in her world right now? And this is Star Mother. How can you mother yourself? So Michelle, this is about taking good care of you. Okay, this is about taking care of yourself. Star Mother, this is Mother Mary. This is the Mother of Love, the Mother of Light, Mother of Jesus. She brought, the ultimate light to fruition, ultimate light to earth, and carried divinity within her. So this is talking about you are carrying something really important as you are going forward on your path. We are all carrying something that is really important for us, for our path. There is a reason that one of the mottos of my family is do the work that you have been given. Because if the universe, God, spirit, angels, whoever gives you that task, your path, your purpose, your job, do the work that you have been given. If you don't do it, that leaves a gap in the space-time continuum for that thing will not get done, won't happen, which means dominoes, something else won't happen. And ultimately, the thing about the butterfly flaps his wings and causes a hurricane, kind of that in reverse, right? So Michelle, this is really important about taking good care of yourself, but it's also about staying true to the work that you've been given. So while you are expressing, standing up, sharing your voice, use discretion. It is really easy for us to want to use our voice in 10 directions. And so it's important that we're kind of staying in our lane. Choose what's important to you. Okay. And then make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because your path that's in front of you is divinely ordained, and it is showing that you have important work to do so that you will do yours, so the next person can do theirs, can do theirs, can do theirs. Okay. So you are an important part of a chain. We all are. You are an important part of a chain. So, okay, let's look at Sharon. So Sharon, this is leap. You go first and the universe will catch you. Okay, and look, she's not stressed out. She's not jumping like, ah! Okay, she's just, this a leap, okay? So this is for you to be able to, and I feel like we've been talking about this, so now that you're here in Florida, I'm really looking forward, hopefully Sharon and I are going to meet up when I'm over in St. Pete in mid-January. I'm looking forward to that. But this is the leap card, Sharon. It says you gotta take the leap, and we've talked about leadership and stepping out and letting yourself be seen and all of that. So this card, it seems, and I don't always remember the cards that I give to each person each week, but I know that we've been talking about stepping out of the shadows for Sharon, and so this card is continuing to show in that direction. So you've definitely got some pondering to do, my friend, about what that next step is going to look like for you. And if I can help, of course, I'm just a phone call away. All right, so we've got Sharon knows. Okay. All right, so we've got okay. I did see, Chris, I did see your comment about when JD rolled over. So, all right, I can't quite get the comments to scroll in the right way here. All right. All right. Chris, okay, so we have a card for Chris. Oh, see, I was talking to you anyway. So, okay, so this is Keepers of the Earth. So, thank you. This is Keepers of the Earth. So, this is You Are Not Alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. So, Keepers of the Earth. Is that for you or is that for me?
I think it's the mailman.
Oh, okay. Hold, please. Yeah. Okay, so, sorry. all the doorbells. Okay, Keepers of the Earth for Chris. Okay, so this is staying grounded, but this is also reminding you to lean in to the higher, right, that are around you. It says your ancient ancestors are standing beside you. Okay, it says that right there. Ancient ancestors are standing beside you. Okay, so this is important that you are remembering you are not alone. Now, I know you're embarking on some new adventures, which is wonderful and fabulous. So as you are doing that, remember to stay tapped into the higher, because you've got people who really love you, who are staying around you as you are getting ready to stretch some wings as your shoulder is healing. So stretching gently. So there's good stuff that's coming. There's definitely good stuff that's coming for you, especially in this new year. Okay. All right. For Stephen. Let's see what's going on with Stephen. This is no. That's what it says. It says wait, postpone, pause, say no. Okay. So pump the brakes, my friend. Pump the brakes a little bit. And just let things play out a little bit. Just give it a breath. Let things settle, right? Sometimes when we stir things up in the glass, you got to wait for the stuff to settle. Okay. So right now, and it's hilarious because there is a yes card in there too. But this card is very clear. This is the no card. It says wait, postpone, pause, say no. So this is also a reminder about staying in your lane and not, taking up those things that are not for you. What is for you will not go past you, but if it's not for you, leave it alone. Okay. All right. So we have me. That is an important distinction. JT rolled over, your son. JD, boyfriend. I don't want to know about JD rolling over. No offense. So Steven says he's been tapping the brakes on a few things. So that's good. So, and Steven, I know you've always, really tried to stay tapped in. So oftentimes I know the cards I pull for you are very much confirmation cards because you are working, to keep yourself tapped into that. So that's really important. Okay. So let me see. It's hard to do the comments here. All right, so we had. I'm not gonna forget anybody. I just trying to get to the place of the comments where I can see who was next. Oh, for heaven's sakes! All right, so Stacy, and then Lorraine is next. Okay, so Stacy's card is. Stacy's card is play. Have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. So Stacy, this is for you. This is the card that says, hey, listen, the holidays are coming. Take a break. Give yourself some time, self-care, rest. Do something that is something you want to do. Even if you go by yourself, do something that you want to do, okay? So it is okay for you. I went, where did I go? I wanted to go to see the ballet, and I just bought a ticket, and I went. So it is okay to do things for yourself and do things by yourself. There's a real freedom in that because you don't actually have to talk to anybody, but you also might meet some new lovely people. But this is talking about not taking things so seriously. And I think, as with all the cards, the cards are directed to the person whose turn it is, but for all the cards, there is always this part of, there's something in it for all of us. And so even for everything that is going on and for everything that has just happened in the last 3 days, for all of us, it's important that we don't lose sight of joy. It's important that we don't lose sight of celebrating and being together and celebrating each other and letting people know that they're important and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So Stacy, that is where for you. Okay. All right, Lorraine. And then Ellen with jury duty. Blech. So been there. All right, Lorraine. Don't want to be there again. So, Lorraine. So Lorraine's card is the Great Gathering. It's all coming together. There are intuitive hits coming your way, and you are connecting with your soul tribe. So Lorraine, and maybe this is about you being here because we haven't seen much of you. So welcome. But this is the Great Gathering, that things are coming together for you. So we know that sometimes things have to break apart in order for them to come back together and get rebuilt in a better way. So trust the process of what's going on around you right now, and just trust when it feels like things might be falling apart, they are probably falling together, falling into place. Okay, so this is for Lorraine. This is Lorraine's card. Okay, and Ellen with jury duty, Belech, and Maria. Okay, so we have Ellen. Oh, we gotta see what's going on for. Okay, this one's a jumper card, Ellen. So this is Priestess. well, this may not go well for jury duty, but it says, how are you being called to step up and lead? So either you're going to be, the leader of the jury, or it's going to be this opportunity for you to stand up for yourself and to say, not me, I can't be, this is not the right case for me. Okay, so it says, priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Now, sometimes, well, all the times, and this card kind of hopped out for me, but all the times we are called to lead ourselves first. Okay, so that's really important that we are leading ourselves first. So Ellen, I hope you do not end up to be the foreperson of the jury, but this is saying that, and priestess is also about tapping into your inner power. Okay, and I know that you have a good higher connection, higher guidance. So as you are sitting with jury duty tomorrow, to be able to say, I am expanding my energy out with light and with love, and to not be selected in a jury pool that would be something that is not filled with light and love. Okay, so expanding yourself to protect yourself, because you have that priestess energy. She's telling you, and you have the ability to create that energy bubble around you. This is, no, I have light and love, and I'm not bringing any crime and punishment and all that stuff in here. Okay, so either that means you get put onto a little tax evasion something, or that you get to be released. So hold on to that, but just remember your power. This card is really talking about remembering your power as you're going forward. Okay. All right, so we have Maria. Let me just check. Okay. And welcome. All right, so I see Melissa. Maria and Melissa. Okay, so Maria, this is Sisterhood of the Rose. Beauty, devotion, priestess, mystic, and teacher. Okay, so we just had seen this, Maria, of the priestess card for Ellen. So really similar, of remembering your power, okay, and remembering that you're not alone, that you're part of the sisterhood, you're part of the higher energies, higher powers. Okay, so it's really important that you are not. It's so easy when we get stressed and we get kind of bombarded that we can forget our power. And so this is a really big reminder for you ladies and for all of us. It says, hey, listen, we're all part of the Sisterhood of the Rose. We're all part of the collective energy of higher guidance, higher vibrations. And so just remember who you are, okay? So beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher, okay? And so part of this, Maria, is about sharing your wisdom, sharing your guidance, and sharing your access to this energy with other people. Okay. All right. So we've got Melissa. All right, Melissa. Inner temple. Turn into the portal of your heart. Tune into the portal of your heart. So Melissa, this is very much about just listening to that inner voice, really trusting. And we don't do that overnight, right? We build this relationship with our inner voice, our higher guidance. We build it over time. So if you think about your relationship with your best friend, you did not have that kind of ride or die, right from the minute we met. Those relationships are built over time. And the same thing with our relationships with spirit and higher guidance and our higher selves, especially. We learn to trust ourselves more, to trust our intuitions, trust that higher guidance, those nudges, the more we are leaning in. So when you trust a little bit and you hear that niggle or that nudge and you follow it and honor it, and then you get something that comes back and says, oh, okay, it worked out well. Like, if you remember the story of me with the rental car in September in New Jersey, I said, I need help. I need y'all to figure it out with this rental car. I need to get out of this rental car, and got pulled over by the police the next morning. Okay. But that fixed my rental car situation because the rental car people took the car back. So no charge to me. So that came from years of saying, I need some help, and them saying, here's what we're going to do. And me not going, what? Are you crazy? You pulled me over? And saying, oh, I see exactly what you're doing, and I trust you. Whatever you all are doing, you're working it out, and I trust you. Okay. So that's what they're talking about, Melissa, is leaning into your inner temple and continuing to cultivate that relationship with your higher self and your higher guidance, and continuing to trust that you are working in co-creation and tandem with something bigger than yourself. Okay. All right. So Chris snorts. Just took Friday off. Awesome. Stacy. Lorraine, you are welcome. Good confirmation. Excellent. Okay. Maria, you are welcome. Melissa remembers. Awesome. Okay. All right. So we're going to do one more card just for everybody for the collective. I always like to do one card to finish it all out. And I want to really thank you all for hanging in there with me today, because I don't know. I restarted my computer. Maybe that is going to fix it, hopefully. So, okay. So this is Imrama. This is where are we being called to journey to? And so this is really important to remember. Where are we being called to journey to? Because all of us are on the journey. Humanity is on the journey. We're all the toddlers. We're all looking at the dirt. We're all on the journey. And so where are we going? And especially as we're coming to this end of this year and we're moving into the beginning for the new year. This is a 9-year that is ending 2025, thank goodness, and we're moving into a 1-year 2026, right? 2026, add it together, it's number 10. 0 and 1 is 1. It's a 1 year, it's new beginnings, new journeys. So this is really, where are we going? Where does your heart want you to go? Where does your soul want you to go? Where is humanity need you to go? Where do we need to step up and lead and be part of, part of the bigger picture? So where are we going? And it's a really important question for right now as we're looking at the tragedies around us, like where are we going? And then as we're looking at the new year coming in, where are we going? Then that's a choice, right? All right, so in that, I think this is I think we have next week. I'm pretty sure we are having our Monday on the 22nd, and so we should be back together next Monday. And then let me check the calendar really quick. Yeah, so we have next Monday, and then that'll be it for the month, for the year. So I will see you all next week, and hopefully we will not have the same technical difficulties. And I really appreciate your patience, and I just always remember how very much you are loved and adored by me, by spirit, by the universe, our loved ones, angels, guides, all of us. That is the energy that is really the real energy, is the energy of love. You are loved. Happy holidays. Happy second night of Hanukkah. Happy Merry Christmas. All the things. We'll see you next week.